You know that feeling when you're wrestling with high-interest credit card debt? It's like you're stuck on a treadmill, just running and getting absolutely nowhere. Well, what if you had a clear, step-by-step plan to finally get off for good? Let's build that plan right now.
Okay, first things first, we've got to face the beast. Right now, the average interest rate on a credit card is hovering around 20%. Just let that sink in for a second. 20%! That's a huge number, and it's the real reason why making those minimum payments feels like you're barely making a dent.
And that, right there, is what we call the high-interest trap. See, with a rate that high, a massive chunk of every payment you make doesn't even touch the money you actually owe. Nope, it goes straight into the bank's pocket as pure interest. You're basically paying a penalty for being in debt.
Let's look at what this costs in the real world. Say you have an average balance, something like $6,400. If you try to pay that off in 18 months with a 21% APR, you're going to pay over $1,100 in just interest. That's extra money, gone. But look at the other side. With a 0% balance transfer, even with a small fee, you're saving hundreds of dollars. The difference is just wow.
Think about that. Over $1,000 in interest. That's a huge financial drain. That's money that could be a vacation, a down payment on a car, or just, in your savings account. Instead, poof, it just vanishes. And that's exactly the problem we're going to solve today.
Okay, so how do we break this cycle? The good news is, there's literally a tool designed for this exact problem. Think of it as your escape hatch.
It's called a balance transfer card, and the idea behind it is actually really simple. You take all that expensive debt from your high-interest card, and you move it over to a new card that charges you 0% interest for a while.
So here's the breakdown. You get what's called a 0% introductory APR. It usually lasts for about 12 to 21 months. It's basically like hitting a giant pause button on interest. Now, yeah, there's usually a small one-time fee to transfer the balance, maybe 3 to 5%, but like we just saw, that fee is almost always way less than the mountain of interest you'd pay otherwise.
Okay, but listen up, because this is probably the single most important thing I'm going to say. Getting the tool, that balance transfer card, is not the same as having a plan. It's just the first step.
Bankrate expert Rita Soledad Fernandez Paulino said it perfectly. A balance transfer can pause the interest, sure, but it doesn't solve the root issue. All it does is buy you some breathing room, and you have got to use that time wisely.
Because if you don't have a solid strategy to attack that principal balance while the interest is at zero, that clock is going to run out. And when it does, that high interest rate, it comes roaring back, and you are right back in the same trap you started in.
So let's build that strategy. Now, when it comes to paying down debt, there are two really popular, really effective methods. They're called the debt snowball and the debt avalanche. All right, let's break these down. On one hand, you've got the debt avalanche. This is the one for the math lovers. You list your debts by interest rate, highest to lowest, and you throw all your extra cash at the one with the highest rate. Logically, this saves you the most money in the long run. Then you have the debt snowball. This one isn't about math, it's all about psychology. Here you list your debts by size, smallest to largest, and you attack the smallest one first, no matter what the interest rate is.
Now, you might be thinking, wait, why on earth would I do that? That doesn't make mathematical sense. And you're right, it doesn't. But like the famous finance guru Dave Ramsey says, personal finance is only about 20% head knowledge and 80% behavior. The math is one thing, but your ability to actually stick to the plan, that's everything.
And hey, it's not just a nice idea. Actual research backs this up. Studies from places like Northwestern and the Harvard Business Review found that when people get those small, quick wins by knocking out the little debts first, it creates this powerful feeling of progress. And that feeling, well, that's the fuel that keeps you going when things get tough.
So for our plan today, we're going to focus on the debt snowball method. Because for so many people, that psychological momentum is an absolute game changer. So let's see how it works in the real world.
It's pretty straightforward, really. Step 1, list all your debts, smallest balance to largest. Step 2, you're going to pay just the minimum on everything except for that smallest debt. Step 3, you throw every single extra penny you can find at that smallest debt until it's completely gone. And then, and this is the magic part, you take the money you were paying on that debt and you roll it into the payment for the next smallest debt. And you just keep repeating that.
Okay, let's make this tangible with an example. So imagine you've got 4 debts, all listed here, from smallest to largest. You're paying the minimums on all of them. But let's say you manage to scrape together an extra $100 a month. You're going to throw all of that at card A, your smallest debt.
So now you're putting a total of $125 a month towards that tiny $250 balance. You know what that means? In just 2 months, it's gone. Boom! That's your first quick win. You've completely eliminated an entire bill from your life. And let me tell you, that feeling is powerful. And this is where you can really see the snowball start to roll downhill. See, now that card A is paid off, you take that whole $125 you were paying and you add it to the minimum payment for card B. All of a sudden, you're attacking card B with $151 a month. Your payment snowball just got bigger, and now you're going to knock out that second debt even faster. This is how you build unstoppable momentum.
So let's tie this all together. Here's the big takeaway. You combine the powerful tool, that 0% balance transfer, with a powerful strategy like the debt snowball. The balance transfer hits the pause button on interest, stopping the bleeding. And the snowball gives you a focused, motivating plan to actually demolish the principal. It's the perfect 1-2 punch to knock your debt out for good.
At the end of the day, the best plan is always the one you'll actually stick with. So the question I want to leave you with is, what's going to work for you? Are you driven by the cold, hard math of saving every last penny of interest with the Avalanche? Or do you need that motivational fire that comes from quick wins with the snowball? Math or motivation? Which one is going to get you to zero?